What's up, everybody? I'm here with Andrew of Sharp Leads, and today we're going to be talking about life insurance and final expense leads. Andrew has been part of our Leadbase community for a while, and he's come on as kind of a part-time coach teaching about life insurance and final expense, and he has a lot of cool stuff that he's going to be able to share today. So, yeah, I want to start off. Just tell me more about how many leads a day are you producing? What's your kind of go-to funnel that you're running right now, Andrew?
Yeah, so right now we're running everything through pretty much Facebook and Meta. We're on Facebook and Instagram primarily. We do have some tests in Google and YouTube, but we're not rolling those out yet. Those are still in test mode. But everything that we do is a video ad creative ran to a landing page. We don't use anything that Facebook recommends. We produce anywhere between 600 to 1,000 a day. So
600 to 1,000 leads per day. Crazy.
per day, every single
Crazy,
day.
man.
Yeah,
That's
wide
awesome.
open all the time.
How long have you been doing that for? Like, were you always in lead gen, or what were you doing before this?
Yeah. So I was actually a final expense agent
Hmm.
for a good while. I worked for a pretty big agency. I was independent, so I was able to kind of do as I wish as far as leads go and stuff like that. And then as I got into it and I ventured away from the primary lead source at the IMO that I was working with, offered, and I ventured out into a digital lead, is what I refer to as a Facebook or Instagram lead. And I was just discussing it with the market. And I was like, man, I think I can do better than this. So I did and did everything I could to make it as best as I could. And then from that, it became making for other agents, so on and so forth. And it led to the point that it was consuming all of my time. And we as in me, packed up the insurance and some guys I had working for me and moved them completely over to marketing. I've always done website design, logo design, graphic design, so on and so forth. So the transition was smooth and seamless there. So as we transitioned over, because really when we were working it as I started a small agency, we were able to generate more leads for cheaper for what I was spending on myself in ad spend for 3 people of ad spend. And so I thought, well, we can do this. And then so as we did that, it really ventured out and just kind of blossomed into what we have today.
Right on. Yeah, because I assume obviously it wasn't 600 to 1,000 leads a day overnight. What was like the
No.
pivot point? Like, what was like the turning point where like you really cracked the code?
Yeah, so cracking the code, we started just like everybody that Ryan recommends, start everything via Facebook forums. Learn your creatives, learn your audience, learn what works, what doesn't work, learn what questions to ask, what questions not to ask. And as that process kind of grew, I remember the first night I woke up I used to run a lead type called health surveys. It was for internally, we'd never sold this, but I could get everything needed for underwriting. I could get everything from their what they needed for their medicines, their medical history, their beneficiary, everything you needed to do a complete application. I could do that via a landing page that I built out in a funnel that I took them through to get to that point. I remember one night I woke up and had 72 people that had done that between 9 o'clock and 7 o'clock that morning.
Right.
And I thought something's clicked.
Right.
So I woke up 72 people that completed what I called a health survey,
Right.
pre-qualified themselves for an application. And that was kind of the push to like, okay, we can do something with this. And that really graduated us into where we are today.
Gotcha. And you said in terms of like the funnel that you're running, it's pretty direct response. You're running to a landing page from Meta. What do you think helps you produce, like what makes those leads quality leads? Like why are those working so well for your buyers, do you think?
I think the main reason for that is how we advertise, first and foremost. So a lot of the problem in the insurance industry is the free lead type or benefit type of lead. What that does is that generates a very high click rate. You get a lot of people to go to your lander or to fill out your form. But for me, it's all about conversions. How many conversions can I get for not just myself as a lead gen, but for the agents that work the leads? Because I've posted in Skool, and I'm really big on this, is that if you want to keep your clients, you got to have a high quality product.
Right.
And so what we do with that is from our ad text to our creatives, and we're big on video. We don't use a ton of images. We use a majority video. So you may have to pay for your creatives, but if you pay, it will yield return. And you just get a good script, get a good actor, run it, and make sure that it's very transparent throughout the process. And I think that's what helps us stick out. But we start with the text, the creative, and then even our lander is pushes of what it is. We ask questions. We ask a budget question. How much are you looking to spend? So
Right.
that right there, we're eliminating free people. And then on top of that, we have other options like text verification and
Right.
a whole other host, of other options as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's fun when you go into Facebook and you can run a very clickbaity ad and like, oh, I got a lead for $2. This is gonna be incredible. I'm gonna sell these for $20. I'm a millionaire
Yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
obviously, these are real human beings that are filling out this form. These are actual leads. I think we think of them as data sometimes, but it's these actual people looking for a solution. So when we run an ad that's actually very solution focused and actually educating them on the potential solution they're going to receive, that obviously goes a long way. And I think you've done that well, as opposed to, again, just getting leads for cheap. And you sell a lead order to somebody, to life insurance agents, and they buy one order and then they're gone because they just didn't work. Whereas you might, well, maybe at the start you were spending a little bit more per lead, but it sounds like you've done it. Obviously, you've scaled this to a point where you're getting leads for a good cost. What do you think was the biggest factor in getting those, that lead cost down to a point where you can sell those leads and those agents buying the leads can still have success, even though, you're making a little bit of margin on the leads as well? Like what do you think, how are you able to take these not so clickbaity ads and get them for the cost of a clickbaity ad?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to just, it used to be targeting, as far as like how you ran your ad and stuff like that. But really, I like to pitch to agents that it's a 3x return. So, hey, we're looking, my goal for you personally, and this is part of the pitch that I make every time I'm on a call with an agent, is that, hey, I'm not looking to be your next lead vendor. I don't want to be your next lead vendor. I want to be your partner.
Right.
And the reason I say that is I want you to 3x your return. And that's my goal for you. I'm going to run good ads for you. I'm going to put people in front of you, and it's your job to close them. And, we'll battle through the stuff. I'll help you as much as I can get to that point. But I think just through the process of, one, we have a very aged ad account, and I know what I'm doing, so that
Right.
that helps. Those are things you can't teach and you can't just give to somebody. But through the process, we've just built out we started with some high CPLs. I mean, I remember paying like $11, $12 a lead for myself and thinking, all right, that's fine, but how can I improve this? And I'm still doing that to this day. Just went over with my team literally an hour or two ago on some text verified leads, highest intent leads you can get right now. And, CPL, we're still making money, but I'm like, hey, this can be better. And so how do we do that? And, there's ways to improve that. As far as just the targeting, we use some softwares that allow us to kind of, dynamically replace some text here and there to kind of generate different scenarios, so on and so forth. I can change the text on the way that we capture the forms and just so on and so forth. And what that does is it just generates a higher conversion rate. And when you're in lead gen, that's all that matters. It's like how many people went to your lender and actually finished the quiz.
Right.
That's what we're shooting for. And there's little things that I could teach people about, the simplicity of it, or like how to do this or how to do that. But overall, sometimes it's just easier to pay somebody.
Right. Fair enough. And it sounds like there's obviously trial and error here. Like I say it a lot.
Yeah.
You just have to test like crazy. And I think a lot of people get into lead gen. Again, they run that first order. They either don't get any leads, or they actually get really cheap leads, like I just said before. And they're like, this is the easiest thing ever. And again, they sell 50 leads to somebody and they close 0. And they're like, what the heck? This is stupid. Facebook sucks. Everything's terrible.
Yeah.
But I think the moral of your story is definitely like, hey, like there's a reason people spend billions of dollars on Facebook. Like you can make meta ads work. You can make Google ads work, YouTube. You need a combination of obviously like high intent leads that you're producing. You obviously need to have the right kind of conversations with your buyers to set them up to work these leads properly. That is part of it. But this is something that takes testing, and you're not just going to take Leadbase's templates and throw them up there and be like, hooray, I just made 100K. Like no one's able to do that. And we don't claim that you're going to do that.
No.
But so I think
I think
cool
we have
to see that it's worked out.
Like 53 videos. I currently use like 6.
Right.
So like that's the testing process that people forget about. Or, the amount of times that I've changed a landing page to make it what I want it to be. And, the guys that work for me will tell you I am probably beyond picky on certain things. I mean, if a
Right.
text isn't center alignment, then I'm like, all right, that won't work.
Right.
It's just the little
Right.
things, and maybe it's the little things that pay off. I don't really know, but just,
Yeah. I mean, if you think about there's 20 decisions you make over a month with your creative and your copy and all these things, and each one of those things makes a 1% difference. It's like, oh, you just
Mhm.
dropped your lead cost by 20% by making those small changes. Like all those things add up so quickly, and
Right.
there's obviously some compounding effect of doing that. It's not
Right.
quite that
Yeah. And I
simple.
mean,
So it's yeah.
and there'll be times where you get surprised. Like I was surprised last week, or today, we calculate on Monday, the previous week, what we were generating a certain lead type for. I was like, really? I didn't know it was that cheap.
Right.
Like that's literally where I was at with it.
Right.
And it was trial and error. That's a lead that started at $13 and last week was 606.
Right. $6.
So that's, trial and error, getting to where you want to be.
Right. For someone starting out, what can they expect? Like if they were to join the boot camp and watch some of your stuff and learn how to, produce these high intent leads, what should a final expense agent or someone looking to start a lead gen agency wants to sell final expense leads, like what should they be looking for in terms of like what's a good lead cost starting out, do you think?
What's really going to know is going to be, you got to assess the agent and assess yourself. Are you going to be someone that's a dialer, somebody that just wants numbers in front of them and people? If that's the case, then do what's in the best interest of your agent and generate, an intent lead, but don't make it be $8, $9, $10. They just want numbers. So figure that out for them. And then, if you want to focus on the high intent side, don't be scared of the $15, $16 leads because
Right.
those are, in my opinion, the best lead.
Yeah. Right.
That's just what it costs to generate that. And, when you're first getting started, that can sound like a lot because, as I teach in the boot camp and Ryan does as well about, setting your budget for what that looks like,
Right.
and setting up for the idea that I'm going to purchase $15 leads, that I'm going to generate $15 leads. That can be a little overwhelming at first when you're first getting started, which is why I coach and he coaches the same way, that start with creative, start with simple questions, and we
Right.
can build up to the ideal lead type that we're wanting to work.
Right. Yeah, I always think about it, and I say this a lot of times when I'm pitching to potential lead buyers is, they might say, oh, well, I bought these leads for $10 before, and maybe mine are 20 or whatever. And I always say, would you rather buy leads for $10 that close at 5% or leads for $20 that close at 10 or 12% or whatever, right? So
Right.
anyone would rather work half the amount of leads to get the same amount of sales and spend half the time. Like that's really, there's kind of been a race to the bottom with Meta a little bit where it's people are all pitching the same, like, oh, the cheapest leads possible. Like sometimes you talk to a lead buyer like, oh, my leads are $3. And then I'm like, well, then why are you even talking to me? If you had $3 leads and you were killing it, you wouldn't be having this conversation with me.
Exactly.
So people want to not waste their time. They want to work high quality leads. They're just like us. They want, financial freedom and be able to like have balance in their life. They don't want to be, I mean, if you're starting out, mind you, you just said like if you're a starting out agent, you want just numbers in front of you and you want to grind it out, that's great. But a lot of lead buyers do want those quality leads.
Right.
So I think it's important to consider that, maybe you have like a really extensive funnel and you are paying more per lead, but if you're closing a good clip with them, it's like you do less dials and you have that good lifestyle balance and everything. So I think that's important. What do you have in terms of tips for those someone starting out who's struggling to get their first client? Can you talk a bit about what you've done to get your clients? Like if you have any tips for people out there, like talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I am big on, I believe cold email is a great opportunity because you can get started. If you have a budget of zero, I like to keep those people in mind. You can generate a list of emails to send out. And then you also have a phone to pick up and just make connections, call people, especially in the life insurance industry. As Ron just mentioned, there's like this cutthroat mentality of like getting to the bottom, who can be the cheapest, so on and so forth. And there is insurance agencies that will try you out if you are just willing and have a good product to produce. But in that, I'm somebody that I always say, back up what you bring to the table. If you're calling up these insurance agencies and saying, hey, I've got a lead type that your agents would like, hey, then don't be worried about, can I produce that or can I get it? No, already have done it.
Right.
Go post in a Facebook group and say, hey, I want to generate leads at cost for somebody. I'm just looking for an agent to cover the cost.
Right.
You got to be willing to put that in and know that, hey, it may work, it may not work. But if it does work, you're now setting yourself up for the long term. And then you can make that call to that agency and say, hey, I've got a lead type I think your agents would like to work. It's this. Do your research. The meta ads library exists for a reason. Go search. Go figure out what's working, what's not working. Go understand it, and then see how you can improve it. It's always there.
You shared a quick story before we recorded here about one of your buyers and around the lead quality. Can you share a little bit about that story?
Start out, I made those phone calls to agencies and just to get an interview, just to have an opportunity to pitch the sale, and that's how we grew to who we are. We've never ran an ad. We've never sent an email. We've really just been through, phone call, pick up, be relatable, be a person. And so, just the other day, I was sitting looking over some leads, making sure things were going places to our agents that they're supposed to be going. My phone rings on a Saturday, on a weekend. It's not supposed to, I don't know, nobody's gonna be calling me. And this was the head of an agency who, I've been texting back and forth and like, hey, eventually we're gonna hop on a call, kind of see what we can do for each other. And he calls me up and he was like, hey, I've had a test agent with you for, the past week or so. And there are 26 leads in it. I have 3 policies sold. And he said, I've got, right at 1,000 agents.
Right.
Can we do this?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. And so then, it's just that pushing to the next step that knowing that when you start this, it can be the phone calls that you're making, but if you're good at what you do, it'll be them calling you next.
Right.
And that's where things grow. That's where things take the next step, because now you're not looking for the business is starting to come to you, because as I preach all the time, quality over quantity.
Right. 100%. And then the thing is, the quantity came for you by finding the quality first. You're not going to get to quantity by having bad quality, because no one's going to be buying that much volume. So I think
it's just and that's the thing. It's, if you have a good product out there, you have a good lead, you have a good whatever you're doing. And then the other thing is, if you're just good at customer service, good at being there for the agents, there's been times I've 8 lead orders because the client was unhappy.
Right.
Fine.
Right.
If that client keeps coming back, I'm going to make money in the long run.
Right.
Which is what my goal is, just continually keeping them there and helping them and pushing them through. And, there's a growing process that goes to it. It didn't all happen overnight.
Totally. No, that makes sense. And back to the whole quality thing. It only takes one big agency to be impressed, right? If you send them the same kind of leads that everyone else sends that are kind of clickbaity, then you're not going to get anywhere. But if you can, they're closing at 10% plus, which for Facebook leads is very high, is really good, especially, from a cost basis. If they can close 10%, maybe their customer acquisition cost is a couple $100 and they're making $1,000. If they're making 3 or 4x, they're going to be calling you.
They're happy. Yeah. We've got agents writing 15 and 20% right now. So it's,
right.
It's wild what can take place.
It's doable, guys. Yeah. You just got to test. You got to be able to, again, not always just focus on your CPL, but obviously the quality. And that's why tracking is very important. That's why the way you question or use questions in your funnels is super important as well. And we've kind of moved a lot more towards this too. We're pushing a lot more Google, because we've just been able to, not that there's anything wrong with Meta, but just for us, we found some better quality in the niches that we're in. We're doing way more extensive quizzes. And I think not only in life insurance, but in any niche, there is that race to the bottom. There's been so many people doing lead generation. If you can just do something different and do something that's going to produce better quality, you're going to stand out. And that's why I think your cold call method works so well too. It's no one's doing that. And insurance agencies are listed everywhere. You could scrape them all off Google. You could just, if you don't have any money, just call up 100 of them a day. If you want a successful business, you got to put the work in.
Right. Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. That's part of it. We have closed one huge agency to that was the biggest turning point, was hey,
right.
We can do this. And, we almost did it without even having everything in place. We were just hey, once I closed it, it's let's go, and the guys joke all the time that I will build a rocket ship while it's in the air. So we'll figure it out.
Should get that quoted on your wall or something.
Yeah.
I feel I've 100% been there, dude. That's you're flying by the seat of your pants. You're just trying to
Yeah.
you get the yes from somebody. It's like, okay, it's go time. Let's do
Right.
this. Like we got to make this happen. I don't think there's
Yeah.
anything wrong with that. I think that's always in any business that there's some aspect of that. But that's where the
Yeah.
best innovations come from too. Is like, okay, it's crunch time. Like let's do this.
Yeah. It's like, are you willing to put the work in? Yeah. I'm actually looking forward. There's a distribution software that we use. They interviewed one of my guys on the team, and he said, I can't wait to see the interview. I'm sure there's a rocket ship thought in there that,
Nice. I
yeah,
love that.
Andrew will just like send us to the moon and be like, okay, we'll figure it out when we get there.
Is that Lead Prosper?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice, Lead Prosper.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, Lead Prosper. Sweet.
they're amazing to work with. That's one key thing. I don't like to push to new people in lead gen though, because I'm like, hey, make sure your profits are there. But then once it's there, jump all in.
Yeah, it is expensive, but it's probably my favorite tool for distributing leads. It's pretty amazing
Yeah.
what it can do for sure. Gives you some peace of
Huh.
mind when you have
Yeah.
clients buying stuff, especially with
Yeah.
your guys' clientele level.
Ours is next level. It's myself, Joe, and Garrett have built out something that's pretty wild how it works. But
Nice.
it's yeah, it's not
Machine.
your average lead. Yeah, it's not your average distribution. It really knows what it's doing. So
Right on. I love that. Won't take too much more of your time, but quick tip for for someone that's watching this that's an actual life insurance agent. What would you say like your biggest piece of advice? I'm a new agent. I'm a month in. I've done some training. I'm struggling to get my first sale. What would you say is one or two things that you would recommend a new agent do to get started and become somebody who can really be successful in life insurance or final expense?
yeah, so I can speak of this from experience. I'm somebody that's wrote 20 plus K in a month, so I can tell you, what to do and what not to do. But the one thing that I would say is one, pick a lead type and you stick to it. Whether that's sharp leads. I would love to have anybody. We would gladly help you out and do what we can. And but it's pick a lead type and stick to it. And then secondly, have a script and don't be afraid of no. Like it's
Right.
going to come. But you just keep pushing through. What I like to tell final expense agents or any insurance agents. I mean, you're thinking of if I close 10% of 100, you're looking for 10 yeses and 90 nos.
Right.
You
Right.
got to think about it that way.
Right.
And you can't get frustrated. You got to keep pushing through. But when you push through, it just takes one sale.
Right.
It takes one sale, and you've already paid for your lead order. Now everything is profit from this point forward, and that's really the thing is just keep pushing. But yeah, I mean we can picking that lead type. I believe we're the best. I humbly say that we fully believe we're the best. I'll put our leads up against anybody. I see it in agents every week, so there's nothing that I'm afraid of now. I'm like, hey, let's do it. But yeah, it's for sure just lock in and look for that next yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, sharp leads is the best I know of. That's why we got Andrew coaching in the boot camp as well. Yeah, super stoked to have you on board, man. If people want to find you, I'll post somewhere on the screen here, sharpleads.com.
Yeah, it's sharpleads.com. You can go there. I'll even throw out a coupon code for anybody else that wants to be in the boot camp, or even we can drop a coupon code below and just put it in the description of the video and have
Nice.
at it.
Yeah, and if you guys want to just speak with Andrew, speak with both of us, obviously you can join the Leadbase Bootcamp, and the link's in the description there if you want to learn more and speak to this guy directly. But yeah, appreciate your time, Andrew. Super cool to see just like so many people crushing it in lead gen, and yeah, I've been learning a lot from you too, man. So I just super appreciate that, dude. I feel like there's like so many people in the boot camp now that all of different things that they bring to the table, and we can like bounce things off of each other. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And feeling blessed for sure, man. So
yeah, for insurance agents, we got a ton. I mean, there's a lot of them in there. So
yeah,
join up and let's make something that works for you.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.